It's a miracle, doc. They counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family that bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. There we go. I'm making it bigger and badder every single week.
Yeah, you are.
You know what's really funny is before we went on the air, we were talking about fondue, and as you were talking, I was scrolling through Instagram just to check for any last minute things. Fondue pot. That's freaky.
That is freaky. They're always listening.
Always. So yes, Jody Lynn, go Bears. What a morning to wake up and get to watch your Bears pummel the Jacksonville Jaguars in London was awesome. And your rookie quarterback throw 4 touchdowns and then add a 5th rushing. It was awesome. I've never had a team that could throw that well. So I am just stoked with my NFL team and my college team. Penn State going out to USC, starting off really, really slow, and then coming back and winning that game in overtime was awesome. And so I've had a really good football weekend.
That's good. Yeah, we had a bye week for Michigan State, so nothing there. Lions won, but man, I don't know if any of you caught that Aiden Hutchinson leg snap. Oof. Where's my girl Lana in the comments? I'm sure she caught it.
Yeah, I saw on Instagram that Chase and his wife went to the Cowboy game, which was the Lions game as well.
Right.
They picked a really bad week.
Oh
to
yeah,
go watch the Cowboys.
Not great for them. No, not go Guardians, Kipping. Yeah, it was not great, like sports wise for us. Tigers are out.
Yeah,
Bummer.
I have been a Mets fan for a long time. Pirates fan number 1, but they never do anything. So I've always liked the Mets because of Bobby Bonilla when he left the Pirates and went to the Mets. And my Mets, as I'm jumping on this bandwagon, are in the National League Division Championship. So super stoked. But yeah, Aiden Hutchinson is a big loss. As a Bears fan, I am not sad that we may not have to see him this year.
I bet.
And I saw Aaron Frazier say something about, it was against the Jags. True. But the Bears have never beat the teams they were supposed to beat. And we've done that so far this year, and I will take that and building confidence along the way. Everything is baby steps for us. It's been a long time since 1985, let's just say. Oh, we got Yankees, we got Dodgers, we got Mets, we got Guardians. Dang. And Mets Dodgers start tonight. In fact, they've already started about an hour ago. So, yeah. I wonder if Hiller is smiling or crying that his boy got in the game.
Oh, Tyson got to play?
Very little.
Oh.
he got the mop up, 3 kneel down at the end of the game.
Okay.
He has like 6 snaps for -7 yards rushing because he takes the kneel down and gets -1.
Yeah. Every
time. And they were giving him crap about it after the game today. But he's like, listen, as long as the team keeps winning, it's good stuff. So, and Hiller's a Bears fan, not just a Tyson fan. So
right.
He has to like the results.
Exactly.
But
we just got a message from Carolyne.
Yeah, Carolyne said her computer isn't working.
Send
she
her
needs
the
to send a link.
Yep.
Okay.
You got it?
Sure.
Okay.
May just take me a second. So you have to run the show now.
Oh boy. Well,
Oh, goodness.
Well, we probably don't want to talk about Crash till Carolyne actually gets on here.
Well, tomorrow is someone's birthday.
Tomorrow is someone's birthday.
Whose birthday is that?
Remember last year at Crash, it was my birthday.
I know.
Yeah, so that's why I went to dinner, and why we were talking about fondue. I went to Grand Rapids. My nephew's birthday was Wednesday. So we're pretty close. So we went to the Melting Pot in Grand Rapids, and it's basically like you get fondue, you get bowls in the center on a hot plate, and fondues. Like you pick your fondue, you pick your broth to cook in, or a skillet, and then you get chocolate fondue and stuff at the end for dessert. It was good. It was really nice.
Yeah. So 41 tomorrow.
41 tomorrow. Holy smokes. Yeah.
Kipping asked, did you get the filet?
We did. So my son and I got there was 10 of us there. It's like my brother-in-law, sister, they have 3 kids. My mom went, and then my brother-in-law's parents went. So yeah, Lucas and I split a 2-person, and it was like this big combo. We basically got the like max that you could get. It had a lobster tail, filet, teriyaki steak, chicken, salmon, shrimp. That might have been it. I don't know. Yeah, it was good.
Boom.
Yay.
There she is. And then Jody Lynn says, another cool Libra. Happy birthday, Jamie.
Thank you. Libras are the best.
Happy birthday. Cool. I'm sure more will come in as well.
How you feeling, Carolyne?
Guys, I just had to switch hotel rooms.
What? Why?
I found 2 cockroaches, and I got the heck out of there.
Oh my gosh.
So I went to the front desk, and I like videoed, and I was like, can I get another room? I'm like, I'm not staying here. So I just got put in this other room. So this all happened in the last 10 minutes.
Oh,
and then I was trying to turn my computer on, and then that wasn't working. And I was like, ugh. But yeah.
You look like you might be where I was last year. It's like one of the suites that has like the kitchen, like the fridge, cooktop, everything. Yep. I bet you're in the same hotel I was. There wasn't a whole lot of options.
No.
Aaron Fraser says, welcome to the South.
So hopefully all is good now. So like when I got in here, I turned on all the lights to see if I could see anything.
But you were in the other room all weekend and then just saw them today?
Yeah.
I saw one this like really early morning, and then it was kind of like dead in the bathroom. I felt like maybe my athletic therapist may have stepped on it or something, because it wasn't really moving. And I crunched it up, and then I went to the venue, and I was gone basically like all day, and then went back. And I was like, okay, it was just one. Maybe it's okay. Like, well, I got one more night. I leave at 4 a.m. Like, let's see. And then I'm like starting to pack up my stuff, and I look on the roof, like on the ceiling, and I'm like, the hell is that thingy? And I saw it, and I was like, nope. So I packed up my stuff so fast and went to the front desk.
Jody Lynn says, what? You need another hotel.
This one just already smells better. The other one smelled like it was like moist.
Ugh.
So this one smells normal.
That's good.
Lynn actually says next time you need to do an Airbnb. But if you know Carolyne, she does everything on the cheap lowdown. She rents the U-Haul to drive around in. She has all the hacks for travel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we didn't anticipate you being here with tonight because I
won't stay too long because I have my flight at 6 a.m. and I got to leave here around 4. So
okay.
Fair enough.
So we'll just hit you up first. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, first of all. But next, you were at Crash this weekend competing. First of all, just your first impressions of the event itself. Jamie was there last year. Here it is. It's actually like, it's got a lot of big names in a in-gym competition, not at a facility or a big arena or anything like that, just in a gym. What were your impressions of this competition?
Big gym, it has like everything. So there was like a whole warm-up area, like a little part of a warm-up area. Then there was a cool down and athlete hangout zone that they had 2 ice tubs in there. They have a sauna. They put bike ergs and echo bikes in there. And then they had a go wad mats, like 6 or 7 of them with foam rollers. So they were like hang out there to leave the warm-up area for the ones that are actually going. So good separation there. And the way that they had their team just organizing the floors all weekend and moving things very quickly. Like they were so efficient and everything was on time. So while it was like, there's no like announcers and everything during, it was well run and very organized. Yeah.
From the home, like watching it on the stream, I couldn't believe like how professional it looked. The numbers on the floor, the squares, the lines look so professional. And everything seemed to be on time, like at all times. If they said this event was starting at this time and you turned on the stream, that's what was going.
Yeah, like JR didn't take a heat off every single time. Like he'd be like 2 minutes and then be like 10 seconds. And then at the end of the workout, he'd say like the time. And yeah, like he was there for every single heat and making sure everyone is like knows their jobs.
So if people didn't watch, there were a lot of big names there. A lot of like a couple games athletes, you and Caroline Stanley and Olivia Kerstetter, Kyra Milligan, and then a lot of semifinal athletes. Fee as well.
Brittany Weiss is the champion as well of the team division.
Correct. And a lot of semifinal athletes.
Yeah.
And really like, what I love about Crash is they highlight the up and coming athletes that you may not have heard of, and you can kind of get to see them doing really elite programming. So I heard you say in one of your interviews that you took a different approach this weekend, that you really just wanted to push it all and see where your fitness was. And I told you as we were texting yesterday, it's the most confident I'd seen you up to that point. So can you walk us through why that was your goal for this weekend, and how did that feel?
I think Lex always wants me to push it more. Like she hates when I rest all the time, and she's like you're looking fine, like just go. Like you're able to do these sets. So there was a few workouts that I felt I could attack. Notably like number 1, number 3, number 6, although number 6 I didn't. I'll get back to that one after. But the number 1, number 3 for sure, like those are good workouts for me, even though the dumbbell's pretty heavy on the first one. I wanted to go all 3 rounds unbroken on the ring muscle ups, but it just, for me, like if I'm going to get off the rings, my rest is so long. I would rather just push the 10 and have that same rest and already be on the back end than just to rest the exact same amount. So I just tried to push and see what happened. Yeah, that one went pretty good.
It's interesting you say that, because you would come off the rings and John and Bill were talking about how much rest you were taking, and that you were killing yourself by the rings, but you weren't. That was your plan, was to, instead of take your rest in the middle of your sets of rings, take it all on the back end.
Yeah, I was trying to slow down my heart rate on the snatches so that like I would finish my 10 ring muscle ups, slow down my heart rate, and do singles. Like I went singles the whole way. And I did singles on the dumbbells in my practice run as well. Like there was nothing about me at any point was like, I think I'm going to go touch and go on any of these. I was like, no. So I was like, just calm down your breathing during the singles so that you can attack your strength in the workout, which is the ring muscle ups. I wish I hung up, like I came down at 5 for the rings on the 3rd set, and that was a mistake. That's what cost me, I believe, the win of that workout. It took me about a minute to do the rest, and if I had done 6 or 7 instead of going down at 5, I knew that was 2 sets. The moment I went down at 5, it's hard to repeat 5. Like having a smaller number to do, I can rest a little bit and then attack that. But because I did it in 3 sets instead, like I just messed myself up there. And that was 2 very, very long breaks versus one break, which makes a big difference.
You were in heat. You were in the second of the fastest heats, or whatever, seated in the second heat. So you weren't with what was perceived to be the top heat. Do you think that affected you in how you did it, or would you have done it the exact same way? Or would you have needed the race with who ended up winning that one?
Olivia. No.
She
Carolyne Stanley, then Kyra, then me. Stanley.
Okay. You took second.
I took second in the chest bar one.
Okay.
Carolyne Stanley won, Kyra Milligan too. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to race against them for sure. It would have brought me back to the rings, I think, more in a position that I was uncomfortable. Because at this, like when I was on the rings, like I didn't have as much of a push. Lydia was starting to come on my left side. So then I was like, okay, you got to go. For the most part, I thought that even though I was in the second to last heat most of the weekend, I always seemed to have a fast heat for like the workouts that I was in. Besides maybe that one where I was ahead, most of the time the heat that I was in had specialists of that workout.
Yeah, I noticed that. And we'll get into that in a second. But so then the second event was the Midlight and Sadness. How did that one? Because you fell back a little bit on that one and then recovered for 3. But 15th isn't terrible.
I was okay with that one. I felt like I executed fine. My heat was so fast. We've gone to the point now where we're racing handstand walking. Whereas like I'm good on my hands. I can do the obstacles. I can do all that, but I'm not fast on my hands. And those girls were just faster there. And the GHDs with the med ball, I hate that movement. It fires up my lower back. Like it hurts my lower back to do it with the with the med ball. Regular GHDs are fine, but the med ball just does something to my lower back. Like I finished that workout and I couldn't even do any extension of like no cat dogs. Like it was just like, oh boy. But I was happy with that one. I felt like I did essentially what I expected up until, so like the first 2 events, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
And then the third event, you literally like the broadcast was in shock at how fast you went out. And could you hold on?
That one is that's the most frustrating one of the weekend for me. I love chest to bar pull-ups, and I like thrusters, and that was a good workout for me. My chest to bars, they just felt way harder than normal. Got lost in my count a little bit. The girl kept counting, not as my chest was touching, but as I was on the way down. So like the first set I did 31, where I was planning to do 30-20. And then, as soon as I got to the 31, I was like, don't feel good right now. But I tried to hold on as much as I could and recover on the lunges. And then even though I was like trying to like put a hand down and relax, when I got to the second set of chest to bars, I was like, these are tough. And I was resting so much in between every single set. Like I think I went 15, 15, 11, 9 or something like that, but with a couple no reps. And the rest that I was taking in between was just not good. Like if Lex was there, oh my gosh, I would have had it. Like get on the bar.
Everyone was taking long rests. Like everyone barring like 3 or 4 people was taking exceptionally long rests. I thought Taylor took much longer rests than I would have expected him to take in that workout.
Well, what was crazy to me is you opened up with a bigger set than anybody else. So even though you were taking these long rests, you were jumping up just as they were catching you. Mm-hmm. So they never really got ahead of you.
Yeah.
And then, the broadcast like, well, she's lost it. She's done. And then you picked up the pill and it was like,
I wish I went unbroken there. Like I broke at the 30, but we had a long rest before the next one. I knew the next ones weren't going to be great for me, well, especially number 5. So I should have just tried to push the 50 there.
Is that where you think you could have made it to first?
Yeah.
By going unbroken on the last
about 30 seconds. They're in a little bit of rest on the chest to bar. It's an easy 30 seconds. But still was happy with that execution overall. Sent it and maybe a little bit too much on the other side of the red line, but not much. Like it was like I blew up, but still was in control of where I was in the race, and I had numbers in my head of the previous heats and stuff like that. So
when you and I were texting was right after this event, and you had gotten into first place, but you knew the next 2 events were not really your jam. And you were just trying to get through those 2 to get to Sunday.
Mm-hmm. So number 4, the strict handstand one. I rested a lot there too, but I think that one went pretty good. Like I think it was a top 10. I probably didn't need to break as much as I did. I was conservative, but it's that fine line with those strict deficit that sometimes it's almost better to feel like you could have done more, because if you push a little bit more, then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's how I felt. 3s throughout?
What's that?
Did you do sets of 3 throughout?
So I went 4-2, 3-2-1, 3-3, 4-2, I believe.
Okay.
I felt like the last one I should have done 6. The 3-2-1 maybe could have done a 4-2 there as well. The sled was a little bit heavier than I thought. Awkward. It was fine at first, and then the last length I tried to catch up to Lydia, and then blew my quads and my calves so much that like I had to put them on the sled for like a minute whilst I was like laying down trying to like elevate them, and then I got up and walked towards my biker, and I like calf was cramped, legs were heavy, and I'm like, oh no, what did I just do? Like, because with the P score, you don't need to push to the finish line to get that, because you're going to get the same points. Like, even if she beats me by a little bit and I'm right behind her, like that's not losing that many points. It was like 1 or 2 points on.
Right.
And the effort that I needed to do that was not worth it. So then I tried to cycle my legs in that rest, like on a 1, but then it was bad.
Yeah, we saw you doing that. Did you find that the sled was like purely legs? Did it blow up your shoulders at all, or biceps holding it?
I felt fine. I was trying to lean more into like my chest area. I was trying to lean that, and then I was holding, but not as much. Like I was making sure that the chest was taking a lot of it versus the arms. I felt it more in the legs, and then as soon as you flip it, it just kind of spikes your heart rate. And then trying to go upside down right after that is difficult when it's not your best movement, right? So it's just kind of like, I would hunch over, try to control my breathing, and it's like, okay, now go. Just anytime you do some sort of like, it's like as soon as you're done, heart rate goes up.
What I liked about that sled push is it seemed to be the most universal version for everyone of any sled push I've seen. Like there was no way of like cheating, like going low or going outside, or because you had to hold that top bar. Like everybody was in the same position. Nobody got like an advantage.
You could go to the side as long as you held the top bar, like it does wrap around. You could, but most people chose to go here, or some people were going like this, like a supinated grip.
Yeah.
I didn't do that one.
But it didn't seem to give anybody an advantage.
No. And like the angle, I don't know if like being shorter helps, or because you could maybe the angle of your push.
It seemed like the shorter people had a better go at it. I feel like the angle, unless you like kept it down, which I think would have blown up your biceps more. For the tall people. I mean, you could notice it more in the men. Like the shorter men, I feel like had a little smoother route. And then Lindsay, I feel like Lindsay pushed it the best for the women, but she has one there to practice. So
Yeah, it helps.
yeah.
Yeah, if you can get touches, if you can get touches on that regularly with your classes or with training, like it's a big advantage.
Yep. Okay, so then you go into what we knew was going to be the double under workout. So we don't have to talk about that. We'll just move on.
It's just like, it's hard because it's paired with such a low skill movement, like a bike, that there's no hiding. Like there's no making that up. Everyone can bike and everyone in the field but me can double under. So it just is like, you're just out there. And like, if it's paired with ring muscle ups or something that's high skill, that is my strength, I can close the gap a little bit. But my two of my biggest weaknesses for the past years, which has prevented me from qualifying, is power output on a machine, double unders. And they're both there in the same workout. It was like, shit. Like I got -4 points on that. I was like, wow. Like I could have just sat down and just chilled. Like it was so defeating to go from like first place to 10th place. And I was like, yeah, not very good.
It was crazy how tight the scores were, though. When I looked this morning, I was shocked at like how tight they were before you guys started. And then you started out with Mad Moon. So how did that go?
To me, it was a running workout. The deadlift was irrelevant. I should have pushed the burpees more. I have very good burpees, and I don't know why I didn't push more, knowing that the deadlift wasn't going to do anything for me. I could have not done the step on, step back, come down, and done more of like what Fee did and push the burpees because she's got really good burpees. And then just do as I can on the run. But I think it was a different workout for the girls as it is for the guys. The deadlift on the guys was much, much heavier. And not as many guys were unbroken. But I think the burpees played a big factor, and I just didn't push it there enough.
I saw some comments about that, and that is a reoccurring thing that we continue to see, and it grinds my gears, is that people continue to say that the stuff isn't heavy enough. And I mean, if you look at the scores, I don't even think it was that much of a different workout. Like something like 20 people of women finished and something like 20 men finished. It was very, very similar.
The run, most of the guys will be faster. Well, that's why he put it lighter. For the time.
But a lot of people were complaining, being like, this needs to be heavier. If it would have been heavier, you would have had 10 girls finish, and it would have been a joke of a workout.
I just don't think that there was anything that was that heavy on the weekend besides a 70-pound dumbbell. And like, if you looked at the top, what's that?
That was freaking heavy.
Yeah, that's heavy, the 70-pound dumbbell. But I'm saying, like, other than that, like, if you look at like who did well in that workout, like they're not the strongest people on the field. And it's like, you still need to have a little bit of a stop for some of, like for those gymnasts or cardio type athletes. Like there's some strength for sure, but you could add just a little bit. It could have been a squat clean even or something like that. But I guess we've already done thrusters. But yeah.
So I didn't see the last workout because I was driving back from Pittsburgh, thick and thin. So it's two different types of rope climbs. One was legless on a thinner rope. The other one was a regular rope climb on a thicker rope. Then you had two barbell movements, one on a regular barbell, one on a thick barbell.
Yeah. Going in, I didn't think it was going to be as bad. I did it. I tested this one prior and I was like low 4s. I don't have the best legless, but I don't know what happened today. I was warming up. I did half a legless and my arms were blown up. And I was like looking at my athletic trainer. I was like, oh no. I was like, I can't even feel my forearms right now. Like I was like in the warm up. You know how sometimes you go on the rope and it's like you're pulling, but you're kind of falling down. Like that's how I felt. And I was like, I was just slipping. I had nothing. So I didn't even warm up. I was like, I can't warm up a single pull because I'm already like I don't know, my forearms were just fatigued. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe from the pulling from the prior day with the chest to bars, the deadlifts, I don't know, but a strict pulling is also not a very good strength of mine as well. I'm good at kipping gymnastics. So I was very, very, very slow with those 4. The barbell was unbroken. The thick rope was thick. But I felt fine there. I just ran out of time because of my legless, which was probably the worst in the field today. And normally it's like, it's okay. I just felt like I was slipping on the rope. Like, I don't know. I was just working harder than I wanted to.
So overall, you said you're trying something new coming into this competition.
Let me just go grab. There's something going on with my battery. Hold on 1 second. Give me 2 seconds here.
Okay. While she's doing that, I'm going to talk about the broadcast. Did you watch some of it, Jamie?
Yep, I watched it all.
Thoughts on the broadcast?
I liked it. Maybe we got spoiled last year, and I understand the apprehension to be on air all day. But I feel like people are hungering for this coverage, and at least have a camera on the other heats so that we can see what happened. No coverage of the Masters, and that Stevie Dellinger freaking crushed it. Like, had some really incredible performances that like I would have liked to seen that workout and then seen the first heat of women go and see the difference there. I wish there would have been a camera on the screen like they do for Kel Taylor. That was probably like if somebody could have just ran that and they could have kept quiet for 4 of the heats, I would have been ecstatic. Just watching the workout and seeing a time. And then if you wanted to talk over heat 5 and 6, cool. But I feel like they needed the cameras rolling. Like, they're there, the cameras are up, just let it run.
So that's probably my only drawback. I've become so attached to these Masters athletes, and there were so many good ones there. I was bummed that I didn't get to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense just to have a rolling camera with like that you could just see everyone with the natural noise of whatever's happening out there, and then you could just watch it as a viewer, and that would make sense. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's my only negative of what they did. The quality definitely improved from last year. And Patrick Clark said it very well in the chat. They don't have a truck out there with like their own dedicated Wi-Fi and their own, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, sure.
It's not going to be ESPN quality, but it was really damn good for a couple guys walking around with cameras and a couple still cameras. For the most part, it only got choppy at times, way better than last year. And the Bill Grundler, John Young team, I have to admit, I kind of enjoyed. And it's not like I would not sit here and say that if you looked at them as like professional announcers, like they would not be what you consider your traditional set. But I enjoyed the enthusiasm that John Young brought to the table. The screaming at the athletes, like pick up that bar, like that gets you into it. And we don't have to be, Bob Costas and whoever, right? And John Smoltz or whatever, or Ron Darling. We can have fun with this. I mean, that's what this is about. It's an off-season competition. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was freaking awesome. I thought the first day Bill was trying to be a little bit traditional and have his spots, and John just blew by those stop signs here and there. But by day 2, Bill figured it out. and I think it came across really well. So kudos to them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to complain. Like, any coverage is appreciated for sure. There most certainly was stationary cameras. It would have been over by basically the scoring table. So if you saw on the finish where they're seeing, that's basically where it was, because you could always tell like that sixth lane wasn't quite in it because it was just sitting where it was. But again, it was enough to see the floor, and if it just stayed there and sat there, like everyone that watched would have watched.
They had an elevated camera too. That they used some in the first day. I didn't see it later on in the weekend, but it had like almost an aerial type view down onto the floor, which was kind of cool too.
I think it was the same camera they had out for the deadlift run, because it was like the exact same floor view.
Okay. Well, day one they had two different They had one that was at an angle, and they had one that was straight on. But it was the straight on one was higher. So yeah. Well, back to Carolyne. So you came into this weekend with a plan to try something new. Overall, do you feel like you learned enough from this weekend?
I feel like I was happy with 5 out of the 6 events, or 5 out of the 7 events, just not the legless and the double unders. Everything else went like I'm happy with. I proved to myself that I can still compete with all of those girls that are, either up and coming current games athletes, on a lot of the workouts, but I just have holes that are very big right now still. And back then you could have holes like that and qualify to the games, and you just can't anymore. So I just got to get back down to the drawing board and try to see what I can do to fix these power output and strict gymnastics and double unders holes.
Well, next year you'll be masters, right? So you can compete in the masters category.
That's what Lex said after the weekend.
I mean, and have you looked at where your times would have fallen, like against Stevie? She had some crazy performances. I don't even know who she is. Like, I saw that name after day one. I was like, who is this person? Like, and Mackenzie and Haley both did awesome. And I kind of expected Mackenzie beat Haley at the games. Kind of how it shook out. But man, this Stevie, holy smokes.
Yeah. I don't know who she is either. And like, I kind of pride myself on knowing,
I know,
like the semifinal level masters athletes. And yeah, I got to do some research.
Yeah, she deserves some coverage
for sure.
Yeah. So yeah. Overall, just to report out on the women's side, the podium was Brittany Weiss in first, Fee Sagafi in second, Lydia Fish in third.
I'm so happy for her.
On the male side, it was, honest to God, it was these three had broke apart. The bad thing about P scoring is it just made this not even a race.
Right.
Almost after the first 3 or 4 events.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought the women's field was much, much deeper than the men's field. Like the men's field is very top heavy. But
while we're speaking of, so just to name them, Colton took first, Taylor Self took second, Chris Ibarra took third. Kind of what everybody picked anyway. But what is going on with Nick Matthew?
Man, it's almost like his shoulder. There's something going on. Like, he didn't look right in the dumbbell snatches. And it seemed to be all shoulder workouts that, if you look at his scores, that are like questionable. And the rest he did fine on.
When I talked to him, he said that he felt very fit going into the weekend. So I don't think he had any injury.
It's shocking to me. I was happy for Max Krieg. We've been following him for a couple of years in the semifinal stuff. Taking fourth was really cool in this field. Some of the other names that we've talked to, Matthias Porter, Drake Lewis, Jacob Marlowe, Tanner Balaz. Seeing all these guys get to compete was cool, but you're right. The women's field was way deeper this year than last year.
Just closer. Like there was a lot more up and down. Like the men's field was more like those top three were just the top. Like there was not much changing in and out there. Like us, you'd see Olivia first, boom, down. It was just like flip-flopping and
so I don't know if you heard the broadcast or you heard from someone. Colton did an interview where he kind of got upset about like Chris Ibarra saying that he wasn't peaked or he wasn't in game shape and he had taken time off. And Colton's response was, or in the interview, he said, quit putting us down because we're winning or taking this away from us by saying you're not in the shape you need to be. If you show up, then you lace up the shoes and you go. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm tired of these excuses. And after he put it in those words, I was like, he's right. Like all it's doing is taking away from the people that are winning. You're trying to take shine away from them by saying you would be, but you're not in this shape.
I don't know if it takes away from them, but I think like if he did take time off after the games, like I think he's allowed to still say that he's not at his peak. If he decided that he wanted to take time off to the games, he still signed up for the competition. And when you sign up for a competition, you still need to be, you do your best of where you are right now in your season. I don't think it takes away necessarily from the other two, but it's just kind of acknowledging where he's at in his season. And like Colton doesn't really take that off season. Like he's ready to go whenever. And that's just two different approaches. So if Chris wants to take time off after the games, like
I feel like you need to frame that differently when you say that.
Maybe, yeah.
Whether it's like hey, I don't know what the other guys did. I took like 9 weeks off. I don't feel 100%. I don't know if I would even be able to stay with them if I was. But so like props to them. They're killing it. I just don't feel like myself right now. Like, I think you need to like really think about the way you say that before you're just like, well, I'm not 100%. So that you are essentially saying I would be with you if I was 100%.
Right. And the other thing we have to factor in, and Lynn kind of says this, but I'm going to phrase it in a different way, is that Colton is looking for that chip.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever chip he can find to put up on the shoulder to make him train harder, to make him go faster, he's going to put there. And that's what motivates him, and that's what gets him going. And that's why he goes to places other athletes don't go at times. Because he has a reason to overcome whatever chip that is. When you watch Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, Michael Jordan made up stories in his mind to give him like a reason to go out and have a vendetta against a team. And I think Colton's getting really good at it. But I think you also have to control it. And maybe last year at semis, he needed to be a little more strategic instead of just going all in on everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the thing is with Colton, he like literally is the best in the world at certain things. And it's hard to not like, I mean, it's good for him that he trusts himself and he knows the things he's going to have home runs at. And like, he's confident. Like you need that. Like, I don't know.
It's like Bill said on the broadcast, can Colton go unbroken on this? But yes, he can. But should he?
Right.
Like there's a bigger picture to this than just that one event.
Right.
Right. And I think that was Bill put that very well. Yes, we all know Colton could pick up that pill and do 50 unbroken thrusters. But is that what's best for him for the weekend? And Colton actually said he heard Bill say that and broke on the thrusters.
I know. Smart.
So I thought that was an interesting part of the weekend as well. So I love Crash. I love that they broadcast it. It gives us something to watch that's exciting. I love the intimate part of it. The 6 and 5 person lanes make watching CrossFit so much nicer.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Like it is so easy to watch. And I hope people take note of that.
Yeah, I like the small heats. And just like it was just way more intimate for a comp. Like
Yeah.
easier for like people just to watch that you're in, like it's not jam packed in there where you can't see what's going on. Like people are moving around. Like it's not as formal, I guess, but it's still so well organized.
Patrick Clark, great job, Carolyne. It was a very tough competition, and you showed your signature grit and determination.
And my signature double unders. Thanks, Patrick.
I'm an unapologized Bears fan. All year they've been talking about Caleb Williams being so hard on himself. Like he threw an interception today, but he threw 4 touchdowns, and all he's talking about is the one interception he threw. And you remind me of him. Like an elite athlete has, like, they forget about the 4 good touchdowns, and it's just about how do they get better at the one interception. And for you, I was great on all these events, but my double unders still suck.
And my legless.
So
yeah, the rest was fine.
Yeah.
Will you go back to Crash, Jamie?
I don't know. I just feel like not showcasing those athletes that paid the money to be there, and that sucks. Like, and maybe we got spoiled last year. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the other thing for a Masters athlete, there's only one division.
Right. Yeah, I don't care about, I mean, that doesn't bother me.
Well, I'm not saying just you, but like if you're a Masters athlete, like Kat Curry,
yeah.
Like she's in your age group,
Right.
but yet she's competing against 35-year-olds.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's tough as you get older and older.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I'm just saying. There are anomalies to that. I mean, Sam Briggs didn't care how old anybody was. She was going to do what she did, right?
Right.
Amy didn't care for like the whole first year I knew her. I want to take on the 23-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's not everybody.
I don't love the P scoring.
Me neither.
Especially for the Masters.
Too small of a field.
Yes. So if you want to like put the master, I almost feel like this is how it needs to happen to like get the Masters there, is like they need to just be in with everybody and seated as they, like Stevie maybe would have been in the second to last heat, right? Like and then in the leaderboard, but then just pull like their points pulled over. Does that make sense? Like if Stevie got 80 points for the last workout and Kate got 40 points for the last workout, that would have moved over to the leaderboard, to their own leaderboard. And I don't know, like maybe it messes up your guys' leaderboard too much. I don't know. But 9 women with P scoring is silly.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, we talked about that last year. That it was just, it throws everything off. Like one event changes everything.
Yeah. And last year was more like one hitters. So like it literally like you were saying, like the double under was with the bike. Well, like I didn't even get that last year. Like I didn't even get a second movement with the handstand walk. It was just go handstand walk, period. Mm-hmm. Just go do a thruster, period. Like at least you had like multiple movements this year.
Yeah, there was no single
modality.
Mm-hmm. Was there any single one? No,
you had no single modalities this year.
And that probably affected P scoring a lot as well.
Yes.
I didn't mind the P scoring as much this year in the elite division. And I think more people understand it now.
Yeah.
So they're playing to it in the field. The Masters, it just does not make sense.
Well,
The gap got so big so early.
Yeah. And Tyler said, and I think they've all like realized this, and maybe this is why like it needs to only be done at Crash or where somebody realizes, but like the programming definitely matters for P scoring. And you have to have well-rounded events.
Especially when you have high skill movements, you have those specialists.
Yes.
That just pull that P score towards one side, right? And there are a lot of like specialty, like high skill stuff that normally like JR will like the program.
Yeah. Patrick's comment here is like spot on. With P score, it's performance based, so you need to show performances. There's no context on performance when you just show 2 heats and only talk about Taylor Colton or whoever. Like, yeah, exactly right. That's what I felt like I was missing with the broadcast. Like, you weren't even sure what halftime, you weren't sure what the time to beat was, who had it. Yeah.
Well, even if they say the time to beat, it has no context. Like, where did they make up? Where did they make up their time? Where did they? Because when I tuned in to watch Carolyne Do 3, Brittany we didn't see Brittany. I got to see the end of Brittany.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I got to see the end of Brittany. So I didn't know like what she did to get to that point.
Right.
So when Carolyne's going, I don't know. Did she go out too hot? Is she going out hotter than Brittany? Is she like, for me watching it, I had no clue what Carolyne's performance was against Brittany because I didn't get to see all of Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to know how much it's going to get pulled right on one side. And like you think about certain workouts, like let's say that one, right? So you have Brittany and I like around the 10-minute and a half high 10s. And then there's some people at 18, which is like a big difference there. And then you get into some of the workouts that were very close on the time cap. And a lot of people are within 30 seconds to finishing the workout. And some people are getting time cap. And like that little part, like you can get destroyed, but some people can be minutes behind on it. Like I understand the median stuff, but it's just sometimes like I don't know.
So Ernie, the only thing I would disagree with on this is last year with less, they showed everything.
Right.
I think they looked back at last year saying, man, that was a long day because JR never stops. Right. And I get it. Like, it's not fair for Bill and John Young to go all day commentating.
100% agree.
But there's other ways to get around that so we can just watch.
Exactly.
Or give someone else a shot to broadcast. Right. And they do that. They used to do that back in the day with like the games. The early heats would be called by one set of announcers. The prime heats were called by Sean and Chase or Sean and Bill, right? Mm-hmm. And then that gives somebody a shot at like showing what they can do.
Hone in some skills. Yeah, everyone, like, there's people in the space that need it. So like, yeah. But honestly, just a live stream would have been more than adequate this year. Like, not asking them to put in any extra work. The cameras were set up, just run it. People would have been thrilled.
Yeah. But if you go back and watch last year's, like Savon was falling asleep at the mic.
He was.
And so I think that was too much for them last year. And when they agreed to do it again this year, we're not doing every heat. But it's like with anything, the pendulum's on one side, it swings all the way over here on year 2. Maybe it swings back to the middle and we get something better. No dig on the broadcast. It was unique, but there are some simple solutions to make it happen. Wasn't a fair showing of what Crash is and what it has become. Correct.
I agree. And I think it just, the depth there, everything just needed to be highlighted just a touch more. I mean, we missed out on probably some big stories. some people getting their name out there. Again, like we don't know who this Stevie Dillinger is. Like that's sad. Like I'd like to know where, I'd like to know something about her.
And I think a lot of people choose to go to a competition like Crash to get some sort of exposure, right? So
yes,
for the Masters or for those starting heats, to not have any of that exposure doesn't allow them to grow their athletic brand, I guess you could say.
Well, part of the reason you guys pay the entry fee is for a shot at exposure or a shot at prize money, right? One of those, you want to benefit out of it, or you're just trying to get more competition, right?
Yeah.
Right. Experience. So yeah, we just have to remember that people, if you want it to keep growing with the people that are coming, then you need to make sure they get the exposure they're looking for.
It was a great comp. Like I said, it was on time, great athletes. The athletes are super nice as well. Got to meet athletes that I didn't know before and just see them on a different personal level. Because the heats are small, you get to talk to more people, and there's less pressure than semifinals. So it just was more amusing, that part.
Yeah. Well, Crash did a great job. We're going to move on. I have a couple quick hitters to kind of do, and then we'll go for the evening. And if Carolyne, you need to go, just let us know, because I know you have an early flight.
I just put my alarm for 3:50.
Yeah, just let us know. Just wave, and then we'll say goodbye. But very proud of you. You, like I said, you look as confident as I've seen you in a long time, and I think that hopefully this is just the start of some new stuff for you, and can't wait to see what your season looks like next year. So Rogue, we did get announcement. It was announced this year, barbell spin this week. Barbell spin announced that Roman Krenikoff and Alexis Raptis. I have been on the road too long today. Alexis Raptis are withdrawing from the Rogue Invitational. They are being replaced by Saxon Panchek and Danny Spiegel. And I'm a big Saxon Panchek fan, as everybody knows. And so super stoked that he gets an opportunity to go to Scotland.
Yeah.
Patrick Clark has a question. Carolyne, which up and coming athlete were you most impressed by at Crash?
I thought Sanders had a good weekend. I thought Hannah Hardy had a good weekend before she got injured, but she's been around for a long time. Wishart's always consistent. There was just a lot of really good athletes there, and I didn't get to see as much of the earlier heats because I was warming up, so I'd got just kind of peak a little bit and then go. But I mean, I won't say I'm surprised by Lydia Fish. I think that I don't know if I would say that I was impressed because I knew she was good. And Weiss, I saw her last year at NorCal when she competed. Her and Wishart were there last year, and Wishart was again there this year winning it. So I've seen those two girls win NorCal. So to see Weiss win this one, I wasn't surprised. With the workouts that were there as well, and knowing their skills in certain stuff, I was that. Those are some of the names that we called beforehand.
Ernie Garza says, Carolyne, you really did kill it. And considering we're the same age, it lights a fire under me to not let these kids have an easy time beating me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 2 months away from being a master. Less than 2 months.
So on from Rogue, I'm going to skip over the next one for now. It also was reported by Barbell Spin that Jamie McGarva tested positive. Masters athlete in the 50 to 54-year-old division, tested positive for metabolites of GW501516, the famous and a whatever it is, performance enhancing drug during an in-competition drug test. What's that?
Is it a SARM or something?
I don't think it's a SARM. I think it's.
I don't know what the difference is.
But I don't want to die. I don't.
Yeah, it's got a specific name, right?
It does. So
the GW one.
Yeah, the GW one. It's got a specific name, right? Like, I don't know.
It's a type of performance enhancing drug, and I just don't remember what it is.
Endurable.
Endurable. It's not for endurance or something, or recovery.
Yeah.
But
I think when people called it a SARM before, Hiller said they were wrong. When I was researching, because the guy that we interviewed 2 years ago got busted for the same thing. But I can't remember what the specific lay name is for it, or the
I think it is endurable
classification.
I think it is endurable.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So anyway, Jamie McGarvis got a 4-year sentence, suspension. He finished second place in the 50 to 54-year-old division. So with that, somewhat ironically, Sean Ramirez moves up to second place, who just came off his 4-year suspension. And Joe Hughes, friend of the show, and Ariel Lowen's former training partner, moves up to third.
He's the only one that has popped, according to.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Yeah,
they could keep some secret. Like, if the athlete doesn't out themselves, like in the appeal process, it could take a while to hear. Like, this was announced by Barbell Spin with someone else who had outed themselves, and we talked about a month prior.
Gotcha.
But that was a test at a different competition.
Yeah.
So, but they do test at the Masters. They test down to 5. Yeah. All hockey players drink out of those, right?
Just easier.
You just squeeze, right? Squeeze. And
I'll put my mouth on it now.
Yeah. So yeah. So first pop of the Masters CrossFit Games. But it does show that they do test. And
they tested the top 5?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I don't think that's all we should get, but
it seems like there'd be more. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Tomorrow at 12:30, we'll be releasing episode 6
Yay.
of the behind the scenes of the CrossFit Games, Masters CrossFit Games. And I have a trailer.
Yay.
It's about 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to play that real quick. Are you ready?
I said somehow I only coach really strong people in CrossFit. Like Claudia's definitely like the strongest out here.
So she gonna crush the front squat today?
And the snatch.
She's
gonna crush everything.
How you feeling today?
Pretty good. Actually slept pretty good yesterday, which was nice. It's like rare.
How much warm up was in there this morning just to get ready?
Just like feel everything out, get everything opened up.
And you start with the chipper?
Yeah, the global one.
Yeah. How do you think that'll go for you?
I tested it out, and the second set of wall balls hurt. I had to break them up more than I expected I would have to, but it's just like chip away, you know.
How long have the two of you been working together?
2 years.
2 years. What's it mean to have an athlete at the games?
It's super important, only because when we started, that was like her big goal, and to finally like make it happen, and like that process, I think this is actually like our 3rd season, and so for it to take 3 seasons for it to happen is like really awesome, because it shows like her dedication and like her patience and willingness to like continue working and improving.
Awesome. Well, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
And that's the trailer.
Woo-wee.
Out tomorrow. This one's back up towards 30 minutes as an episode. Conversations get a little bit longer. But yeah, really getting excited about the stuff that's coming out in the next couple episodes. But that's out tomorrow at 12:30. And love the music that Ortega picked for the workout stuff. Last week we got a copyright zing for that, even though he paid for the song. So hopefully this week we don't have to go through all that stuff again. But yeah.
I feel like the music stuff has been since October, like since putting my stuff like on YouTube, like a lot more of it has been blocked since early October. So I've been having to mute a lot more of my YouTube stuff than before. Like normally it was just like you couldn't hear or you can't hear it in or watch it in Russia.
Right.
I was like, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
Cool. It was like a yellow like warning sign.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like red. Like you gotta mute this. So definitely for qualifiers and stuff like that, I'll have to make sure that my video is viewable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been so I pay for royalty-free music. I pay a subscription service so that I can grab songs for this project, and Ortega does as well. So we both pay, and they should be covered and licensed. And we may get dinged. We just then have to fight with YouTube, and then. But while you're fighting, your stuff isn't monetized.
That's not cool.
Or you're sharing monetization with the writer of the song.
Mm.
So anyway, so that's out tomorrow. Patrick Clark had to do the same here with German YouTube. Yeah, it's the biggest hassle probably in the whole project is just fighting those fights. But the last thing I want to end with is the PFAA had a representative talk to Talking Elite Fitness last week. Their representative was Mitch Bragg. And he just talked about a couple things. And I don't know if anybody's listened to it. I don't know. You know me, I have a thing against the PFAA, apparently. Not that I really do. I want athletes to have representation. I want things to be safe. I just think they need to be cleaner about how they go about things. And a couple of things he even admitted is the PFAA got called out by NorCal because they put out the demands after they did a partnership with NorCal, even though it was for one event. And NorCal said, listen, we're partnering with you and we're advertising you as a partner. And then you're putting out these demands and we didn't know they were coming.
Yeah.
And that puts us in a position. And so Mitch was talking about how they need to be better about knowing that when they make these partnerships and those people that are involved.
I mean, that makes sense though.
It does.
Because if you're putting the sticker on your event and what the PFAA is posting is not your personal opinion, then that can be conflicting and that can be a weird partnership. Like, so I understand NorCal's concern there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This Mitch Bragg, and I don't know who he is, was very open and honest about a lot of things. He said that when they did the demands, they talked to the top 30 athletes. That's a different number than we've been told by both Brent and Pat on two different episodes in the podcast world. And then they also said that a lot of people agree with them, but they're not willing to speak publicly because they're afraid of the ramifications that could come.
Interesting. Top 30 individual men and top 30 individual women.
He just said top 30 athletes.
Okay.
There was no.
Yeah, I'd assume both.
Yeah, I would assume as well. He also said that when they put out things, they pressure test their ideas with brands to make sure that sponsors will not be upset at what they do. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and I still don't know. It's something I have to think about. It may be smart for them to do that and not lose sponsorships, but I'm not sure it should be like, shouldn't it be what you really feel to be safe and not what a brand feels?
Yeah.
He also talked throughout this whole interview about the season has to have a storyline, and from like that you build from event 1 to event 2 to event 3. He kept saying weeks, but then at the end said, I don't mean it has to happen week 1 to week 2 to week 3, but like event 1 to event 2 to event 3. And it should build in a very linear storyline. And then he said that they were looking at events for next season to give athletes an alternative if they chose not to do the CrossFit season.
I'm assuming that's just like promoting certain competitions that people are running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tour or the circuit, whatever you want to call it.
I think this is actually very well put as well.
Yes.
The PFA shouldn't be a named partner for any event, but rather just an entity that is there for checks and balances. That doesn't need to be advertised. That would save a lot.
Yeah.
Again, I believe that there should be representation for the athletes. I just want representation for all athletes. All athletes that are affected by the safety and competition fairness and all those things from semifinals up. That's all. So that's pretty much what I got out of that. And then I'm just going to finish up with a shout out to Chad Schroeder, who did a really awesome recap of the teens and the Masters games with important numbers for all those.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fascinating reading to find out like people who have been to so many games or so many podiums or so many, it was just really a fascinating read. And he has a link from his Instagram to the document on his LinkedIn page. And it's really good if you want to go check that out.
Yeah, that was excellent.
So definitely do that. And yeah, I had one other thing and then it just slid out of my head, but Chad, the OG brain of CrossFit, the most underrated analyst out there. He is kind of becoming a friend of mine. We chat quite a bit. I like Chad a lot. So yeah, I think that's it. So thank you everybody for being here tonight. Sorry we started late. Next week, hopefully I'm going nowhere next week. No trip to Pennsylvania for me next week. Carolyne probably is traveling to or something. Oh,
I'm going back home next week. Yeah, I literally have been traveling every weekend. It's literally it's nuts.
Lucas has tennis states, so
so they made it this week.
They made it. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't win regionals, but they got second. So yeah.
Jamie sent a picture to me of the first tournament that Lucas went to. Beautiful stands, easy way to see the tennis match. Then for the qualification match to get to states, it was bring your own lawn chair.
Oh yeah, it was at our school. We actually have a really nice facility. And that's why we get to host regionals. But yeah, there are some bleachers. Where we wanted to sit to watch Lucas, we were out on the lawn and had our own chair. Yeah. But we're going to states at Detroit Cranbrook, which is like Detroit Country Day. People around here will know it. Private, a lot of money. So I'll send you a picture. Should be very, very fancy.
All right. Well, Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifier so you're the first one to know when new stuff comes out. And we will be back next week for Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. See you guys next time as I'm fumbling to find the
I'm
exit.
Exit.